we made 10 phone calls to 10 grads. All 10 said they would come back. One called me today and said that she couldn't because she had a commitment at the last minute at her school. That was Carrie Leibman. Another student, Christina Perez, who was our Kappa president a year ago, was in California. And she said that she would come back early to be here. I said, Christina, California is a bit of a trip. You don't have to do that. But all of our grads came back tonight to share their experiences with you. And I'm really grateful to them for coming here. In a few minutes, Michaela and Laura will introduce them, and we'll get the Q&A started. What I would like to do is introduce our officers. First of all, our event coordinator, Erica Frieda. Erica? Our treasurer, Deanna Keeling. Secretary, Karina Shield. Vice President Katie Nicosi, who's taking a test, but she'll be here soon. Laura Giordano, our Vice President. And Michaela Cuzzo, our President. And now I'll turn it over to Michaela and Laura.
Okay, so everyone, you could probably hear me regardless of this, but so for our panel, we have Kevin Feldman, Clarissa Felix, Michael Gale, Amanda Gother, Amanda Inmorado, Gabriela Licata, Carrie Leisman, Alexandra Malora, and Alyssa Trapani.
If we could just go down in order to say a little something about yourself, that'd be great. You can start with Alexandra.
Okay, so I graduated from St. Francis in 2017. So it's only my first year teaching. Can you hear me? There you go. Okay. So, I graduated in 2017, so this is my first year. I teach at JHS 223 in Borough Park. It's a middle school. I teach 6th grade ELA.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Trapani, and that is really loud, I'm sorry. I am a 2nd grade teacher at PS 39 in Park Slope, and I graduated in May.
I'm Kevin Feldman. I graduated in 2011. I'm a 6th-year phys ed teacher. I teach at PS 971 down in Sunset Park.
Amanda Gauthier. I graduated in May 2017, and I'm teaching at PS 24 in Flushing, and I teach 2nd grade general education.
Hi, I'm Gabriela Licata. I graduated last year, and I'm teaching now in Howard Beach, PS 146. I teach 4th grade ICT. I'm the general ed teacher.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm teaching 4th grade. I also graduated with most of these people in 2017. Here you go.
Hi, my name is Clarissa Felix. I also graduated last year as well. I currently teach at PS 889, and I am a kindergarten teacher.
Hi, I'm Mike Gale. I graduated January 2015, and now I teach social studies at Christ the King High School.
Alright, so we'll get started with our questions. So for our first question, if each of you could just give your own perspective, we'll go down the line for each question. So did you guys feel prepared coming out of St. Francis College and stepping into your teaching career? Yeah, we'll start over there.
Yes, definitely. The teachers here kind of support you throughout the entire years here and then even after. So with like the applying process, the tests, they always were there to answer any questions. So I never had like a complete breakdown. They were always there. So yeah, I definitely feel that I went in knowing what to expect and what to do. Like, thanks to them.
So I feel like St. Francis has definitely prepared me for teaching. Even after graduation, they're still here to help. I've been here probably about 3 times since I graduated, just to get a different perspective on what was going on in my classroom. And everyone is always so eager to help, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I would just say without a doubt. I mean, at other schools, you're kind of a number. Here at St. Francis, you're definitely a person. You kind of get that individual attention. Even now in the field, 6 years, if I have a question or anything, or I need, reference, I can call Dr. Leibman or Dr. Giacominto for anything. So, yeah, they prepare you for the tests, for interviews. You go on an interview, you call them up, Dr. Leibman will call up the principal review. So you really get that individual attention. Doesn't mean you're going to secure the job, but it definitely will help you on that regard. So, yeah, without question, yeah.
Obviously going to agree 100%. I felt ready and prepared, especially once I got my job in September. I was going to say that when I was student teaching, I was definitely more nervous and I was constantly questioning what I was doing. I wasn't sure if it was right, what I was supposed to be doing, if I'm, But I remember Dr. Leibman came to observe me the first time and I was like, I don't even remember it. That's how crazy my mind was going. And I remember running out of the classroom and asking Dr. Leibman, was that okay? And he was like, are you kidding me? He's like, if I was a principal at the school, he's like, in 10 minutes of watching you teach, I would hire you in a heartbeat. So I knew that everything that SFC has taught me in the last 4 years was what I needed, and I was going to be just fine.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Being here was such a great experience. So many others have said, it's a very small school, so you're not a number, you're like an actual person, and they take very good care of you. Anything that you may need or you have a question on, they're more than happy to help in any way possible. Like Alyssa said, even today, I'm coming back and I'm asking questions and getting some advice, and it's really helpful. I actually got hired where I student taught, so the good tips that I got from Dr. Leibman was to actually stay after my 300 hours have ended, and I had to ask and see if it was okay with the principal. And after she had seen my dedication and she saw that I wanted to stay, even though I wasn't getting paid for it, it was just based solely on experience. That's kind of what enticed her to look into me, and I couldn't have done it if I didn't have the support that I had here.
I agree also with everyone. Thinking personally, I took a lot of the ideas and things that we learned specifically in class and done them with my class from Dr. Gare. I started day one with the journals, and everyone personalized the journals. They loved the journals, and we do author's chair as much as we can. I know now state test prep is happening, so it interrupts, and they love it. They're like, can we do author's chair? They ask me every day. They love, and also the children's book that I brought in one day and we used it, and they're writing their own now, and I specifically took a lot of ideas and projects we did in class, and the tissue paper flowers and all the different things we did in class, and I wrote them down, and I've been doing them with actual kids, and it's so amazing to see that, and making a very interactive classroom. I feel that's something we learned here a lot, is to really engage kids and make it really interactive, making them really motivated, and that's something that I apply with my class, and they love it because I teach a lot of kids with different needs and lots of hands-on things, and they really get it. So I say that I took that away from Stephen.
And I would agree with what everyone's saying. I felt really prepared to go into the classroom, especially as a first-year teacher. I was scared out of my mind, as I'm sure everybody else was. And I had to think about, I was well prepared here. I know what I'm doing. I just need to walk in confident and just share what I know in terms of knowledge. I remember when I was in Dr. G's class, we were learning about differentiating instruction, and so I was able to go back into my notebooks and start to think about, okay, what did I learn about differentiating instruction? What did I learn about E&L students? Because majority of my classroom is E&L students. So I was like, well, great. I'm glad I took that class with Dr. G now. So I just went in, looked at my notes, figured out some of the lesson plans that I had tried to use before in the classroom, and implemented it into what I have now. And it was a great experience. I felt like I was really prepared, and I had some sort of trial and error beforehand, before I got into the classroom. So when I jumped in, it wasn't like I was jumping into the unknown. I already had experience with what I was working with.
I don't even know where to start. I'm going to second what everybody said, because the professors that you guys have are incredible. You know, I definitely felt prepared going into my teaching career. I felt more than prepared. I could tell you tons of things that I learned from Dr. G, Dr. Gare, and Dr. Leibman right now, from technology to educational philosophy to networking to professionalism, all kinds of things. You know, not only did I feel prepared, but I felt inspired, I would say, coming out of St. Francis, because, you know, our professors really knew us well. And like someone said before me, you know, it's a small college, you're not just a number. They really know who you are. So if they're telling you what your strengths are, believe them, because they're right. I'll never forget the first time that I stood up in front of the classroom to teach Dr. G's class. My freshman year, I was 18 years old. I know I still look like I'm 18 years old. And Dr. G said afterwards, "You have presence." And I remember thinking, wow, that was like such a great compliment, and I always took that with me, and I always felt confident getting in front of the classroom after that, because he said that one word to me. And it was like, I was having a bad day before that, I didn't know if I wanted to be a teacher, and then I heard that, and then that was it. I was good since then. So, you know, I could go on and on, but I definitely felt prepared and encouraged and inspired, and, you know, and if you don't seek them for advice, they'll seek you out for advice. You know, even after I graduated, Lisa would send me emails about alternative things that I could do to get certified, because I don't remember which exam I was having trouble with, but some of the exams could be hard, you know? I remember taking the EAS, the ALST, the NCTA, all that stuff. I think it was,
EAS?
no.
CST.
No, not the CTA. Oh, is that NCTA? Yeah, because I did the NCTA, but then I had trouble submitting it, and like I kept failing one part, and she told me I could take the ATSW. This is like a year after I graduated. They're reaching out to me. So I could go on, like I said. So yeah, I felt very prepared.
Okay, thank you for your answers. The next question is, how did you get your current teaching job? We can start with you and just go down this way.
Yeah, I got my current teaching job actually with the help of Dr. Leibman. So when I said networking, that's who I was referring to, because Dr. Leibman is great with networking. And if you don't know that already, then you need to form a relationship with Dr. Leibman after this meeting. Not only did I get a job at Christ the King High School, where I work, with the help of Dr. Leibman, but he also even helped me get an apartment. He's still delivering my mail. He just gave me something. That's how I got my job. I went on an interview with Christ the King. I did a demo lesson, and they hired me, and that was it. So yeah.
Well, for me, I did it the old-fashioned way. I applied to the DOE website, and I got an interview within like 2 days after applying. And I put Dr. Leibman and Dr. G as a reference. I don't know who my principal spoke to, but she said she heard good things about me, so whoever it was, thank you. But yeah, I went in, I didn't have to do a demo because it was a new school. So what I came in with was a portfolio, so if you don't have one, I would suggest that you do one now. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I just had like, some student work, student samples, and just explained what I was doing inside of my student teaching experience.
Okay, so I have a little bit of a different pathway that happened, but basically I student taught at a public school. She really liked me because she's like, no one retires at this school. Like someone would have to like die before you get enough like part here. It's actually like a very popular school, and she said people don't leave really. And then, but she was really nice. And then I, like on my own, I found like principals' emails, and I was just emailing them resumes, and like I went on a bunch of interviews like all summer, but a lot of them were like, do you have early childhood? Do you have special ed? Do you have special ed? Do you have special ed? Do you have ESL? And everywhere I went, there was like people with masters and 10 years experience like up against me for the position. And I did get to do a lot of demos and interviews, which was good experience, but the public schools, like, it wasn't working out. And like a week before school was starting, St. Edmund called me and they were like, we have 6th grade. And I was like, because I'm elementary school, so I'm a little like, oh, 6th grade. And but school was starting in a couple of days. I was like, maybe. But then she called me back the next day and was like, actually, the 4th grade teacher took 6th grade. Do you want 4th grade? And I was like, yes. So then I went ahead, because 4th's less scary. Because I always saw myself teaching like pre-K, and then I was like, oh. And so then basically I went in, she interviewed me, there was no kids there, so she couldn't really do a demo. And then she hired me, and I started working at St. Edmund, and even though I was fully certified and everything, at first I was like, oh, like I felt bad almost at first,
but then I was like, it's really good experience, and you know, I'll reapply next year. And so don't be discouraged if you don't right away get into the DOE, because it is hard to get into the DOE. And so sometimes you might need a couple of years, you know, and take a different pathway. That's what I would say is my advice. And I actually like the open creativity of it, because they don't really have a lot of curriculum, so I get to do a lot of my own stuff, which is nice. But it's really good experience. So I felt like taking the experience was a good path than trying to, like, a couple places were like, oh, maybe a maternity leave or something, but I really wanted that experience in my own classroom. So I did go with the Catholic school. And I really like it, and it's a good experience, so that's great.
Like I said, I got hired where I student taught, which is in Howard Beach, where I live. And I went there every single day. I took no days off. And when it was time to leave, the teacher that I was with, like, she's amazing, and she was so supportive, and like from the start she like helped me and like just threw me in and was like, here, you can like teach. So I got very comfortable, and like with the help of the teachers at the school, with the help of the professors here, I kind of like built up my confidence to like ask and say like I was able to stay, not stepping on anyone's toes. And from like what I hear from the teacher that at the school and from the professors here who spoke to my principal, it was like very intriguing for her to hear that I wanted to kind of put the time, the extra time that I had into these kids that I met in January, and I was like so devoted to them that I wanted to stay till the last day. And she was very happy with me that she asked me for a demo lesson, and I think I did well on that. And then she asked me for my resume, and the last day of school, she told me that I was in her budget, so I knew that I got hired.
All right. I actually go to a gym, and it was May. I was starting to like pass all my exams, and I was getting my certification, and now it was time for me to start looking for a job. And a girl at my gym came up to me. She's like, we're gonna have a couple of openings at our school next year. You should apply. I can get you in for an interview. So I was like, okay, why not? So I gave her my resume, and she gave it in. And then I was enjoying my summer as a graduate, and I'm at Six Flags. And I actually went to the bathroom, and I was in the stall, and I got a phone call. And I was like, hello? And she's like, hi, this is Jackie Rajwan from PS24. She's like, do you mind if we do an over-the-phone interview? And I'm in the stall of the bathroom at Six Flags with like Safari music blasting over me. And I'm like, sure. And she was just asking me about like my experience with student teaching, what programs I use, like Go Math and Teachers College, and just like simple questions about my experience. And she was like, okay, can you come in for an face-to-face interview like in 3 days? And I was like, okay. Like I hung up the phone, and I think 2 seconds later, like I walked out of the bathroom and I sat down at like a table, and I called Dr. Leibman again in the middle of Six Flags. Now I'm like shaking, freaking out.
It was funny, when you called me, I was in the bathroom.
The truth comes out now. But so I told Dr. Leibman. He was like, all right, send me all of the school's information. We'll try to get this worked out. So I sent Dr. Leibman the school name, the principal's name, the phone number. He gave her a call. I think the next day Dr. Leibman called me back and said, all right, the school is very high standards. The school has high standards. The school is also very popular with ESL. He's like, go in knowing things about that. He's like, because they're probably going to question you on that. So I looked up the school stats, learned like what ESL they have, how much ESL students they have, like their test scores and stuff like that, like know the data of the school. So I went in for the interview, and I went to the principal's office, and there was 10 people sitting around a big round table. It was the principal, about 4 or 5 like APs, math coach, reading coach, and then there was an empty chair, and they're like, sit down. And I had a paper, and everyone else had a paper, and they went around the room, around the table one by one, asking me a question, and I was just like, again, like I'm such a nervous person, I'm a wreck over everything, and they would give me like a minute to answer each question, and I would just like, I would look at it, and then they would give me like literally like a timer to like answer these questions, and I was a hot mess. Like you probably thought like I never went to school to learn how to become a teacher, and to be honest, she stopped me. This was my first interview. She stopped me mid-interview, and she was like, "You don't have enough experience to be teaching here." And I remember I didn't have a car yet. I just graduated. I remember taking an Uber home, and I was just like tearing up, crying. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from the school. She was like, "Hi, this is Jackie Washburn from PS24." I'm like, "Wait, the school that just like told me no and like basically get out of here?" And she was like, "Can you actually come in for a demo lesson?" And I was like, "Okay." So again, they're all about data, so they sent me the data of the class, like all their reading levels, all like their grades and stuff like that. They're like, be prepared to differentiate and be prepared to teach a reading lesson based on main ideas. So planned my life away for that lesson. I went in to teach, I gave it everything I had, and then I met with them after, and the principal loved it. And then they said, well, we'll let you know in a couple weeks, and then sure enough, like a week before school started, I got a call from the assistant principal, would you like to take a position in second grade? And it was crazy to see how much has changed from June to August. When I left there the first time, I was like, oh, I never want to think about that again. And now they're my home. And then I actually just emailed Dr. Leibman about this. I had an observation, and my principal was my supervisor, so I had a post-observation. And we were talking about it, and she was like, I'm so sorry for what I said to you, your first interview. She was like, I didn't think you had enough experience. She's like, but everyone told me how hardworking you were to give you a chance. She's like, and I did, and I'm so happy I did. She's like, you're doing amazing. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. So, and she told me to email Dr. Leibman and tell him about that, and I did. And so it's a crazy story, and I can't imagine not being at that school now. It's my home.
Okay. I was not in the bathroom, so that's for sure. No, my experience, my first job I got hired at was where I did my student teaching. And I always tell people, you know, your student teaching experience, think of it as a job interview. The 4 months to 5 months that you're there, people are noticing you, especially, you know, the administration. When I left, I asked Mr. Lavelle, you know, can I come back and do some subbing? And he actually told me straight up, he goes, I don't usually allow people to come back and sub, but I've been watching you for the past 5 months because I like what I see. He goes, I'll get you in. And don't think that subbing is beneath you. Nobody wants to do it. I did it for about 2 years before I got my break. Officially, if you go to the same school, you're going to get called pretty much every day. If you're in the building every day, people are going to know who you are. You know, not just in a certain class. So don't put that beneath you. It's not ideal, but you know, it's a foot in the door. Once you get in the door, it's a whole different game. I was there for about 2 years. Then I went to a charter school for about a year. And then where I'm at now, my school, I've been there for about 2.5 years. And right around Christmas time of 2015, my friend who I work with now, she was already working at the school I work at, and she called me and she's like, we just had our Christmas party and the phys ed teacher is leaving to become a New York City firefighter. She's like, are you interested? She was like, I can't promise anything, but you know, give me your information, I'll pass it along. I said, you know, the best time to look for a job is when you have a job. I said, sure. So I give my information to her, and that weekend I was actually in Dallas to watch the Jets and the Cowboys. And I remember at the hotel room, my phone went off, and it was the principal, actually the secretary, and she said that we got your information, we like what we see. Can you come in on Monday do a demo and interview? I said, sure. I flew home on Sunday night, went in for a demo. I had no idea what to expect. I did my demo, and she loved it. Great. I went into her office and told me a little bit about the school. She's like, so when can you start? She goes, the job is yours. You know, you can start on January 3rd when you come back. So I literally had, you know, 1 day to go to my old school, basically. Like, see you later. But a lot of it, you may not want to hear this, but a lot of it is who you know. It goes back to networking. I'm not saying that you can't do it the old-fashioned way, but talk to people. talk to people, get yourself out there, make it known. And don't take a no personally. I mean, all you gotta do is get one yes. I've gotten told no plenty of times, but once you get that one yes, you're in the door. It's good to go. I love where I'm at, and that's pretty much my experience.
So my experience is very similar to Clarissa. I graduated in May, and as soon as I graduated, I passed tests. I put myself on the Dojo website, and I was like, this isn't going to do anything. I can't just sit and wait for someone to notice me. So I looked up basically every school in Brooklyn. I emailed about 60 schools, and I went and I dropped off my resume because I just wanted to make sure they got it. I went in there. It took probably a week, and I went to as many schools as I could. I ended up getting a few interviews, some of them Catholic, some of them public. And then my school, they called me, they said that they were interested. They just had an opening, it was July. I didn't have to do a demo lesson, there was no one in there. She met me, she liked my personality, she said my personality came out to her and how much I care about students. And she looked at my portfolio from student teaching, so save any really great lessons that you have or student work. And then she called me about 2 days later and offered me a position. I took it, I didn't know what grade it was, but it was a school that I liked, and I just took the chance, and I got a grade that I always wanted, so I was happy about that. Just put yourself out there as much as you can.
So I got hired at the school I was student teaching at, and like someone else said that, you know, Dr. Leibman kind of tells you how to make a relationship at that school while you're there. So I think it was around maybe like April, I asked the principal if I could come in for a little to talk, and I gave him my resume, and I kind of treated it like a job interview even though it wasn't. And I threw like a million reasons at him, like why I was good for like this job, and I was like, you know, if there's any openings, like I would love to work here, all this stuff. And then it was, I think about June, and I did a thing to erase my voicemail. Yeah, so it was full, and I got an email from my mentor teacher, and she was like, you need to contact like Mr. Frank, he's trying to get in touch with you, your voicemail is full. So clear that, something I didn't think of. So thankfully she emailed me, and I called him, and he asked if I wanted to come in for an interview like in the following week, and I went in, he asked me a few questions, and then he offered me the job.
If I could just comment real quick, I know Dr. Leibman used to say this, make sure all your like emails and stuff are professional. If I'm not mistaken, you used to like Kegmaster 88 or something like that.
Kegmaster.com.
Yeah, so
This hot body 2000.
Yeah, you know, it's laughable, but little things like that do make a difference. So just for your own sake.
Okay, Laura and Michaela, I think rather than have everyone answer, if you could ask the question and then whoever wants to answer in the essence of time, okay?
Thank you, guys. So what part of your student teaching experience did you find the most useful?
Do you want us to like raise our hand like we're in school or something? Like,
So Amanda.
I would say definitely the experience of being with actual children, because when you're in class, I remember like Dr. G would have us like read a book to a bunch of like fellow college people, and like they'd have to like play along and stuff, but like actually teaching children is different. You get to hear their perspectives, their little opinions on things. And I got to student teach with 2nd and 4th grade, which was nice to see 2 different grades. I know at first you hear like, I remember Dr. Q being like, everyone has to switch to a different grade. And I was like, oh, but my little 2nd graders. But switching to 4th was great because I wound up teaching 4th anyway. So it wound up being good because I had actual like lessons. So I'd say definitely be open to different grades, and because you might be in a different grade than you actually thought you were. So I'd say definitely being with actual children is definitely the best part of student teaching.
I would say I got a lot of help through my mentor teachers. They are, you know, they know what you're going through. They always say, I was always a first year teacher once, everyone always was. Not only are they there to help you get to know their students, but they're also there to help you for your EdTPI, for just doing lesson plans, for getting to know the people in the school and the administration, They are the most wonderful people you can learn from, an actual teacher who's always there. So,
Just kind of to branch off what she said, for me, it was my mentor teacher, without a doubt. At first, honestly, when I was with the guy, I didn't really care for him. When I left here to go do my student teaching, I was kind of very shy and timid. I know Dr. Leibman got about that. And he kind of very loud, kind of brought me outside of my shell. And I can honestly say if it wasn't for him, now we're best of friends. I mean, he's been teaching 29 years, that's as long as I've been alive. So to be able to actually pick the brain of somebody, they've been in your shoes, they know what, like I said, you're going through. And a lot of times, even now when I teach, the way I move my hands and the way I speak, oh my God, I sound just like Mr. Whitney. But, you know, it gave a good experience of that. Fortunately for me, it was great. Still great friends today. And like I said, I think what she said before, getting to work with kids, I mean, what you learn here is very valuable, but until you're actually in the gym, when you have, 40 kids going crazy, it's like you learn on the job. But definitely ask questions and get to know the people that are there to help you. Don't be ashamed about it, because they're going to help you most of the time, they will, at least in my case.
Does anyone want to add on? Yeah.
Dr. G, you wanted to say something?
It's interesting that you're saying that 5 years from now, you get a student teacher, what would your responses be? Thank you.
No problem. Well, could you repeat your question?
The question is, if 5 years from now, maybe 3 years, if you have a student teacher, what will your feelings be?
I actually, my principal a couple months ago, she called me and she was like, I was wondering if you and Ashton, my co-teacher, if you guys were up to having a student teacher in the classroom. And I was like, sure. And I can't really say no. So I was like, yeah, sure, of course. It wound up being that it was an observer. She goes to St. Joe's. But just like having her being in there, like it brought back so many different memories of how I was there not even a year ago, and how I just wanted to take everything in, and now what we do, her name is Nancy, so what we do is we're just okay, Nancy, go take this group and go do this, and she loves it. And what I would say is just really be open. Don't be afraid of taking that wall down, or pushing forward. I started student teaching, and right away I was afraid. I was paired up with a teacher who's been at that school for 19 years. It was her first job. She's still there. She's going to retire there. She's love, and it was just it was very intimidating to be with her, because of how well she is, and she just accepted me with open arms, and she let me do my thing, because she saw that I wanted to help her and I wanted to do what I could do, and that's kind of what I would take away. Just don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, and be open for anything that comes your way.
all right.
Michael, you were saying.
Okay.
Student teaching experience, right?
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that one of the most valuable things during my student teaching experience was dealing with managing the classroom, because that's one of the toughest things to get better at as a student in college, because when you guys do lessons in front of each other, you have full cooperation.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen when you walk into the classroom, whether you're in a public school or a Catholic school or a charter school, wherever you go. I remember learning about styles of teaching in Dr. Leibman's class, and I remember learning democratic style, authoritative style, things like that. And I remember thinking, I'm going to be an authoritative teacher. So I went into student teaching day one. I'm an authoritarian, and day two, that was over. Because I had a kid cursing me out and saying all kinds of things that I can't repeat, but someone else said about taking things personally. Don't take that personally either, because the kids aren't mad at you. They're mad about something in the home, or they're going through something in their personal life. everyone's walking into a classroom, including us, with our own personalities, our own life experiences, all these different things that we have to differentiate for. We're differentiating for their knowledge, we're differentiating for their abilities, their strengths and weaknesses, but we're also differentiating for personality. So keep that in mind as well. And that's not a bad thing. Like it's okay to understand that a kid's having a bad day. It's okay to, you know, let a kid throw a fit. You know, I'm not saying that you should have a free-for-all in your classroom. Don't go, you know, all the way to that extreme either. But, you know, you can't expect all your kids to conform to you. So classroom management is one of the most important things. Also scaffolding. I think scaffolding is it's easy to understand like what the zone of proximal development is when you're learning it in theory. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You just got to teach somebody based on their current level of knowledge. Easy. When you have 32 kids in a classroom, and you know you have one kid that knows communism so well that he can connect the history of communism to its development and how it led to Kim Jong-un as the dictator of North Korea, and then you have another kid that's saying, how can I spell communism? You have to scaffold for both of those kids, you know, and that's tough to do. So those are the things that I learned during student teaching.
Actually, one of our questions was how do you handle classroom management, if anyone wants to add on to that.
There we go.
So I actually had a really tough time, September to November. That's why I came to St. Francis about 3 times. I feel like you learn a lot of ways to go about handling classroom management. But, I mean, I'm a first-year teacher. I feel like knowing your classroom and knowing what works best for your kids, that's what you should do. And I'm not saying it's going to be the first time. Like, I probably just got a handle on my class maybe like a month or 2 ago. I did a bunch of different classroom management tools. I've done compound jars. I've done how I'm feeling chart, how they're feeling chart, and nothing worked with them. But I started class Dojo, and it's like a whole different classroom. I actually went in today and I looked to my teaching assistant. I was like, am I in the right class? Because I'm just so confused what's happening. They're being so quiet. So I feel like classroom management, I mean, for me, I don't know if this is for everyone. It depends on the classroom that you have and what your students respond to best.
Yeah, I'm gonna add on to that. I teach 3 different 6th grade classes, and like my approach with them the first day was all the same. Like I went through the rules and like expectations and like all that stuff, all the same with all 3 classes. And 2 of them responded so well to it, like had no behavior problems, like great classes. And then 1 completely did not respond to it and always gave me trouble. And I would always be like, oh, I have them 8th period every day. So I don't know if that was a part of it also. They were, you know, more tired. So with them, I had to try out like a few different ways to see what they're going to respond to. So I tried, you know, there would be like 2 boys that were big troublemakers. So I would try to bond with them. Like one of them loved puzzles. So I would put a puzzle on the board for him in the beginning of the class. So I think it's just like getting to know your students and like what they respond to and how they want. Kind of have to work with them a little bit.
Just based on my experience as a phys ed teacher, I see everybody K-5. So I got the whole school. My advice as a first-year teacher, even now I'm doing it for 6 years. Beginning of the year, the first couple of weeks should have nothing to do with content. Nothing. It's getting to know these kids on a personal level. You know, laying basically the groundwork. You know, I said before, like here at St. Francis, you get to know your professors on a personal level. Always take the time to know your kids. You know your kids. You know, I'm not saying be best friends with them, but find something that they like a certain sport. If they like baseball, I like baseball. Like Dr. Giaquinto, he's a big Yankee fan. I'm a big Yankee fan. Many times planning my schedule, we used to talk Yankee baseball. We still do. So kind of learn to get know your kids a little bit, use it to your advantage. But definitely, as the year goes on, you will find that it gets easier, depending upon your grade level that you teach. You want to hold your kids accountable, but really, it goes back to knowing who your kids are, for sure.
I definitely want to add on to Alyssa. I think I told her this, but we graduated together, and then we had PD for Teachers College in November, maybe December, and we ended up sitting next to each other and we're like, oh my God. So we were just talking about how it was going, and she was talking to me about her classroom management. And I think I don't know if I told you that I use Class Dojo too. And I'm telling you, if you have a younger class, I would say maybe 3rd grade or younger, get Class Dojo.
What is Class Dojo?
Yeah, can you explain?
So, Class Dojo, you basically type in your kid's name, they get a little monster. The monster is their character. If they're good, you can give them a point for like participating, for helping others, you can give them a point for anything. Give them a point if they're not following directions or like falling out, you can take a point away. And if they get a point, it makes like a fun, like happy sound. You take a point away, it makes like a kind of like a whir, thumbs down. The second they hear that sound, they're like this. Like they do not want to hear that sound. They don't want to get that point taken away. Another good thing is all the parents are connected to them. So the parents can see if they get a point, the parents can see if they get a point taken away. And the parents can message you, the parents can reach out to you, parents can see everything that you're doing on that Class Dojo. So, and I like to do a reward system. So my top 3 students who have the most points at the end of the week, they get a prize or they get to have lunch with a teacher or something like that. So I reward them for their points.
Again. So part of the reason why I couldn't use Class Dojo, my principal did not want negative points, which understandable. So you could actually set it to neutral. So they still get the noise phone, like talking during independent work, but they don't get anything taken away. And then I've been doing like tablet time for anyone who has like the most points. So it like even something like Class Dojo, like we both use it, but there's still different approaches to what you can do for your kids depending on how they respond to it. So trial and error, I feel, with the classroom management for me worked.
That sounds cool for like the little kids.
Yeah, definitely a little kids.
What I did in the beginning of the year is I remember learning this one of the classes was to like let the kids think they're making the rules. So in the first day, I had them go into groups and get an index card, and they came up with the rules, and then I would take them into consideration and make the rules. And then once I posted them, I basically was like, if you agree to these rules, sign the contract. So they signed their signatures on the rule list, and it's up in the classroom so that if they break a rule, I'm like, but your name's up here. You agreed to this. That's kind of where I started with it. And then the big thing is to make sure that they care about the thing you're rewarding them with. So by getting to know your kids, you know what they like, so that helps. So I have a system with raffle tickets. And if a kid's doing what they're supposed to, or I normally just drop like a raffle ticket on their desk, they put their name in a little bucket. At the end of the week on Friday, I pull a name, they get something from the prize box. So what happens is the more tickets, the better chance you have. So a lot of them, like, they see me drop one ticket, and then they're like looking around to see if I'll come around with more tickets. Or even if I just hold them in my hand, I'm like, maybe some tickets. And that's where like their individual thing. I noticed they have this obsession with gel pens now.
Yes.
That's the craze. So strategically, I went to Dollar Tree, bought 5 packs of gel pens, threw them in the prize box, and now like they're like, ooh, she got gel pens. So now they're like extra, which is cute. So you gotta like get to know them things they like, because then that'll motivate them. They're so excited over a gel pen. You don't need to even like go crazy, because we don't have tablets or computers or Chromebooks really at our school. So like, I'm going with the gel pen, so they kind of look for that, which is nice. I also try to do like a classroom thing, because that's like more individual. So I also want them to build as a community, so I also do a class tally. So it's like a chart, and they get tallies if as a whole, they're all good. So maybe we go to an assembly, everyone's quiet, everyone's good. We go to church, so that if they're good at church and they sit still, like, and I'll give them a tally. So then that's something they have to earn as a full class, and that's normally like an experience thing. So we did like a movie. The next one is like having a picnic, because it's gonna be spring, and they have to earn like 30 tallies. So it takes time, but that's like more to build the community, and then something individual. So I would say that's good, because you want them to be together, but then also like you have that one kid who ruins it for the whole class, and they're all gonna be like, oh no. So you have to make sure you have something individual too. And my principal gave us these little thanks for being awesome cards. And in the beginning of the year, she's like, if anyone's doing something, you can just like write one out at the end of the day. So I've been doing that sometimes, like a couple times a week. If someone does something a little special, I'll write one out, fold it, and then like act dismissal, just like hand it to them, and they'll take it with them. They'll be like, what's this? And it's something nice that they feel recognized personally. So those things, I would say, like just making sure you know them personally, giving them compliments, you know, understanding them. They're all different. They all have different needs. They all have different things they like. I had one kid at Ghana, he's like, I hate everything. And I was like, no, you don't. And I made him brainstorm 10 things he liked on a Post-it. And he keeps it on his desk. I'm like, there are things you like. You need to be motivated. So you have to figure out a plan for each kid.
If I could just branch up, say one thing real quick. Don't think that you're always going to have classroom management down. I mean, it's an ongoing struggle even for people that have been doing it a long time. The kids that I have, there's some kids that just can't control themselves in the gym. So what I'll do is I give them a job, and I come out, purposely leave the balls out. Hey Max, come in, give those balls. And you go pick them up, put them away. I got you, Mr. Kevin, no problem. Like, you know, kind of really make it like, hey, it's a big job, can you handle it? But don't go in with the mindset, like, I'm gonna have this done, because you won't, you will be disappointed. You try to manage it as best that you can. And you know, like I said, again, as time goes on, you'll find out, you kind of figure out what works for you.
And I just wanted to add on to that. It also has to do with your classroom environment. For me, my room is known as the hugging classroom because my students are very affectionate and we really respect each other. So I think it's about sharing who you are as a person as well. So it's not only about getting to learn the students, but it's about them starting to get a glimpse into your life. Like when we were on spring break, they want to know what I was doing as well. So I can't always interfere and ask them, well, what did you do with your family? I need to share what I did with my family too. And by giving them jobs, like you mentioned, it also provides them a sense of importance in the classroom, and they feel like they have some sort of responsibility. So if they're not performing, they feel like they're letting down the whole classroom because they know it's a team effort. So I think it's really about how you set up your classroom and how you engage with your students.
All right, thank you guys. We just have 2 more questions, and I think we'll wrap it up after that. What are some of the challenges you faced having to take graduate courses along with your teaching schedule, and do you have any advice that you would offer future teachers?
I'm in grad school right now. Like I said, I graduated SFC in the spring. I took a semester off just to be able to find a job and like start my first year teaching. And then I just started my first 2 classes in January. Time management, just know like, okay, like for example, I have a group presentation for my Toro, for my grad school class next week, and I'm also getting observed next week for teaching. So I'm like, okay, so I know Thursday after school I'm not doing anything. Okay, Thursday I'm gonna dedicate my Thursday afternoon to grad school. Sunday I know I'm not doing anything. Sunday I'm gonna dedicate to planning for my observation. So it's just making sure you have time to balance one thing and making sure you have time to balance another thing. It's all about time management for that, I think.
I would just say don't wait. I mean, while you guys are young and relatively don't have a whole lot of responsibilities, get it done, because the older you get, you find out responsibilities start happening. And I can vouch for working full time, going to grad school. It's not easy. So while you can do it and get it out of the way, definitely do it, because as you get older, it's harder to go back and you don't want to go back. So kind of ride the momentum as you have it. So that would be my advice.
I guess I can share what happened with me. So I graduated in May, and then I started grad school in the summer, in January. In July, teacher brain, you'll get used to that. So for me, it wasn't too difficult because at first I thought that you had to keep it separate, your teaching life and your grad school life. But then I realized that they're kind of intertwined, because when you learn things in grad school, they want you to take it into your classroom, try it out, and then bring it back to the teachers to explain what went well or what you feel like you can improve on. So I feel like if you're able to kind of mesh it together and realize that they're one and the same and that it's all in a circle, whatever you're learning inside of grad school is what you're going to try out the following day. And then if you ruined it, then you go back to grad school, you go to other teachers who kind of like support you and you try again. It's really about trial and error. So I feel like it's manageable. Just know how much you can take on. And if you're able to just speak up and let your coworkers know that you are in grad school, then they'll work with you as well. Maybe some days you can't stay late, but then others you can. So it's all about just communication and just figuring out how much you can balance at one time.
Okay, so our last question is, if you could go back to when you were a student at SFC, what advice would you give yourself?
Relax. Relax a little. I know like those tests, I was ripping my hair out because I was so nervous, but you're gonna get through it. So just try and get through it one step at a time, and it'll get done. So don't pull your hair out like I did.
Yeah, definitely one step at a time. Take one test at a time. Take each day by a time. Set like small goals, and just know that everything happens for a reason. If it's not okay right now, it's gonna be okay sooner or later. But just, oh my goodness, small goals. Take everything step by step. Try not to overwhelm yourself. Everything will be fine.
I agree. Also, when your professors tell you to take your tests, like, oh, you should be taking this test this year, oh, you should be taking this test this year, it's like really a good idea to do that because, Amanda and I were in the same boat. We put off our tests until we were student teaching, and thankfully so, we booked back-to-back tests. The EAS one day,
But did you tell, we literally found this like hole in the wall spot on the middle of Flatbush Avenue. I was like, oh, they had an availability for like May. And she came to me and we like ran there. We took the EAS and the CST literally the day after each other because we wanted them done. Like in the middle of May, we were just like, I hope those scores come in for June.
yeah, so that was hard because for the CST, well, when we took it, we took the safety net. I don't know if they have it anymore. But when we took the safety net, I'm sure the CST still does it. It takes like a month to 2 months to get your test back. So when I was in the process of my principal trying to hire me, she was like, oh, I need that test. And I'm like, yeah, it's on its way. And like, it was just like holding off, like, am I gonna pass this test? Is this test? I took this test in April, like, and now it's the middle of June, and like, I still don't know if I passed it. And like, thank goodness I did pass. But yeah, so what I would say is when they're telling you to take it before student teaching, it's likely a good idea to do that. They know what they're talking about. But other than that, I forgot what the question was.
The advice you would tell yourself.
Just like, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to suggest things. Like, I know people say that, I mean, there's a line between like being arrogant, but also like putting yourself out there. And I think as teachers, like, this isn't something that like you are looking and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I'll be a teacher. Like, it's something that you feel inside you, and you're like, you see these kids and you're like, I want to help them in any way I can. And having that feeling is like awesome, and wanting to help other people that like may need that help is something so great. And just putting yourself out there and like letting them know, even knowing these kids' names, like when I'm student teaching, like it's so validating because they see that like you're a human being, and like they're like, oh, like, and then they're not afraid of you, and just like totally put yourself out there. I am a very shy person, very laid back, but there's moments where you have to be out and you have to give all you got, and people really see it, even if you don't think that they're looking, they are looking at you. And it's really validating to like hear it from other people. So just like really be yourself, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because I've made plenty.
If I could kind of piggyback off what she was saying about the tests, yeah, she's 100% right. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got sick and tired of hearing them talk about the tests. But the reason for that is, you know, if you have a good student teaching experience, and let's say a position opens up and the principal can offer you a job, the worst thing that you can say is, I can't take it because I don't have my certifications. I was kind of the same boat. I kind of waited. I did get it in time, but you know, I didn't have to put myself in that situation. So to make yourself sleep better at night, definitely knock it out early as you can. It's for your own benefit. I never took the TPA. I took the old test. I don't know what really the TPA consists of, but I know it's a headache. But you're gonna have the headache regardless. So you might as well, you know, face it head on and just get it behind you. But to go back to the question, I would just say relax as well. Don't, you're in good hands with the department here, and these people will help you regardless. That's when you're here and even out in the field now. But don't forget to have fun. I mean, you're going to be a college student one time. It's a good school here. Enjoy the process, learn. Don't expect perfection. You're going to make mistakes. I mean, there's things that I look back on now when I was here, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But you're going to grow from it. So enjoy it, because it does go fast. It really does. So have fun.
Just want to add on to the test part. Even after the test, make sure you get on your teacher finder like right away, because you have to get approved for that. So it took me like 3 weeks to get approved, and at that point, like, I already got my position offered to me. So my principal was the one that told me, like, you have to get on your teacher finder for me to do like the process of hiring you. So, I had to keep checking in, like, I'm still waiting, and it took about 3 weeks. So don't put anything off, just get it done. You gotta like write an essay for it, and it was summer, and I think, all right, I'll do it tomorrow. But just get it done. It's for the better.
And having to study for the 2 other tests while doing the NTPA is like I don't even know how, I can't even remember those months, like, of doing it, because, like, the NTPA, you really have to put, like, your all into it. You have to, like, memorize that handbook and know it inside and out.
The rubrics. You have to know the rubrics. That's the key to the NTPA. Honestly, that's what Dr. G said, and I got the master score on it, which I was like, whoa. But when you look at the rubrics, honestly, what I would do is I would read the fours. I was, they say the threes. I'm trying to be a 4. So I would read down like what they exactly wanted, and then just like insert it into what I already wrote. So I wrote it first, and then would go back. So one of the rubrics was explain or mention a theorist was for 3 points. Then the 4 points was mention theorist and mention their theory. And then for 5 was mention theorist, mention theory, and explain the theory. So then I just went back and was just Bloom's taxonomy, and then I explained what it was, and then that got me a 5 on that rubric. And just something simple like that can get you those points just to even pass. If you just go back on the rubrics, that's the best. With the NTPA, the secret to it is the rubrics, honestly.
And I'm sure all of you have Dr. G right now, and he probably constantly is questioning you about who said this theory, who did that theory, what theory does this relate to, and you're probably like, oh my God, he keeps mentioning theorists and theories, but your NTPA is going to be full of these people. Every question you're going to have to relate back to a theory or a theorist, and that's going to get you that extra point that you need to be able to get that 4 or 5. It's putting those theories in. So, and definitely start your NTPA the second week of student teaching, because it's all the different tasks, and then you have to do the video and lessons. And if you're childhood, I think you have to do the math part. I had to do a math too. So, and you're going to split time, half in one grade, half in the other grade. You want to get all that NTPA done with that one grade, so start as soon as possible. First week of student teaching, you want to be thinking about that NTPA already.
If I'm going to say one thing too, kind of a little bit off topic, you guys go for your first job. I see a lot of people, I live in Queens, but I don't want to commute to Brooklyn, so I'm not going to take it. You're not going to get your perfect job right out of college, so kind of lose that mindset right away. You're going to have to start at the bottom. A year, I don't want to work at a charter school. You're not going to be there 30 years. It's all a matter of just getting your foot in the door, get some experience. I thankfully at my school I have a great principal. My students are very good, but I have a small gym space. It's not going to be where you have excellent students, excellent principal, a huge gym. You're going to have to be willing to compensate. But it's a starting. Get your foot in the door and then work from them. So that would be my advice for sure.
And just to open up to the audience really quick, do you guys have any questions that we didn't cover that you want to ask the panel?
Go for it.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, go for it.
We can talk for hours. You guys probably want to go home too, I'm sure. It's probably been a long day.
All right, well, thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it.
Actually, we know that you guys all work today, so coming here and helping us out, you're really really proud of what you've accomplished. I really expected all of our present student teachers to be here. I'm not pleased with the fact that they're not here because they really would have benefited from what you had to say. But thanks so much for coming. We have refreshments for you, and we also have certificates for you. Ladies, you want to distribute those? Okay. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.